Back in December of 2021, I finished Chainsaw Man in the span of a week. It had to be one of the most interesting experiences I've ever had with a manga. The twists and turns of the plot had me excited for every chapter, but once I finished it, I felt so empty. The ending felt so right, even though it did leave a couple of unanswered questions. So I was ready to move on until I saw that this was only part 1. I was immediately excited. But then I learned that the next part was going to be a school arc. I quickly started thinking the worst, expecting the story to lose its explosive and fast-paced nature and instead start off slow and mundane. With the release of the latest chapter and a few of the one-shots, I quickly learned that no matter your expectations, Fujimoto will blow them away. In anticipation for part 2 of Chainsaw Man, I read some of Fujimoto's one-shots, Goodbye Eerie, Just Listen to the Song, and Look Back. My favorite of which is Goodbye Eerie. The nature of these one-shots are vastly different to that of Chainsaw Man, which is to be expected. They all have this slow build-up before hitting you with something left field, starting off with the main character and how they view or how they are viewed by others. For example, with Look Back, the main character is seen as a child prodigy who can make good manga, and then that changes instantly when someone else draws better than her. Or with Just Listen to the Song and Goodbye Eerie, the main character is kind of ridiculed or becomes a laughingstock by their peers. Then they either find somebody that they can bond with, or the sick twists begin. In Look Back, Kiyomoto dies in an unforeseen way. In Goodbye Eerie, Eerie turns out to be a vampire, and in Just Listen to the Song, the main character's room is haunted by ghosts. Anyway, with the first chapter of part 2, we can see Fujimoto uses both of these styles to great use. We quickly see Asa's views on her peers and Bucky, which are very pessimistic due to her being jealous of their relationships. She has no friends, and her parents died to devils, so she obviously is very lonely, and the introduction to a class pet that is also a devil doesn't sit well with her. And as soon as she realizes that she was just jealous and that Bucky isn't a bad devil, she begins to show a hint of bonding with him. And in Fujimoto fashion, she kills him. It was kind of predictable that something bad was going to happen soon. I mean, most stories are like this. A good rule of thumb to know when things are going to go bad is when things are going good for too long. But having the tragic event early on and in this way really caught me off guard. And of course, things began to escalate. But like I said, with the given setting and with the context of his one-shots, it was very hard to expect such an opening to this new part. In fact, I still don't know what to expect. I think I heard somewhere that Fujimoto takes inspiration from JoJo's, which leads me to believe that we could follow Asa as the protagonist and Denji as his secondary or side character, maybe even the antagonist. This would be an extremely bold move, one that Fujimoto is definitely capable of pulling off, but I don't exactly think this is going to be the case. The recent chapter felt like a good in-depth character introduction, and only that. The way the chapter ends off suggests that Asa is going to go searching for Chainsaw Man, and at that point it seems appropriate to see what Denji is doing from his perspective. Anything involving Asa's perspective would lead to the story potentially heading down a slower path again. It is definitely possible to pull off, but I doubt it. That reminds me, I actually forgot about the 4 Horsemen. So I imagine there's going to be at least 4 parts, this part focusing on the War Devil, which leads me to Asa. Once again, I wasn't expecting a character introduction for the beginning of part 2, nor was I expecting a character like this. I was kind of shocked that the character was a girl in the first place. That sounds terrible. But now it makes complete sense. An integral part of Denji and his character development revolves around him and his relationship with women, so I'm really excited to see how this unfolds. If I was to make a prediction, one that would probably explode in my face, I'd say that once Asa meets Denji, some type of relationship will form. I feel like this would be another situation like Denji's relationship with Reze, but vastly different. Instead of it starting on good terms due to Reze having an ulterior motive, it'll start off really rough and then they start warming up to each other, only for it to eventually end, but in a more gentle manner, with them both being young and making mistakes and all. I could really see Denji growing from part 1 and knowing how to handle their relationship better, but still being ignorant in some areas. Or it could just end with them fighting. Or an explosion. Regardless as to what happens, I have faith in Fujimoto and his skills in crafting a story. I haven't read Fire Punch yet, but it's clear that he doesn't miss often. I also enjoy the way he writes. It seems like he's just having fun in the world he's creating, filling it with all type of references and callbacks to his favorite things. And oh boy, do I love the Western movie inspiration. The fact that all his manga sometimes feels like a movie in manga form is just a treat that you can't really get anywhere else. But enough of my rant. How did you enjoy the latest chapter? I know I loved it.